Morning everyone from India and good evening to all who is joining us from US today.
Hello.
Justice sir, Vivek sir, Nagma ma'am, Soni ma'am and all of you. Thank you so much for taking time and joining this virtual gathering session of Chinar Foundation's Executive Council. This is in fact the first official gathering of Chinar since we have been in the process of establishing our organization. As all of you know, Chinar Foundation is a cultural organization set up to bridge harmony between the Kashmiri Pandits and Muslims. We are deeply rooted to the idea of Kashmiriyat, which is Rishi or Sufi culture, projecting the versatile values of brotherhood and compassion. So, the crisis and conflict in Kashmir is a dark reality, and the darkest part about it is the long duration or period of disturbance for civic lives. As an independent researcher on Kashmir, I personally had felt that the conventional or traditional methods of conflict resolution and peace building has proved failure in applying with the Kashmir context. Extremist and moderate socio-political and even religious movements have been tested for conflict resolution in the floor of Kashmir Valley in the last many years. But the peculiarity with, or what I feel is with Chinar as an organization which will directly influence the social lives of people in the Kashmir is that it has a difference from others. Even if we base our organizational institutions in Kashmir and we have our key members from Kashmir, it's this fraternity which includes people who are away from Kashmir or a collective movement which includes non-Kashmiris too. To take on the words of Honorable Justice Katju sir, we are a group of people who has affinity to Kashmir and deeply desire for peace to be restored in beautiful paradise. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me get into my designated duty here today. I welcome all of you to this wonderful session. It's my honor to direct the talk space to respected Justice Markande Katju sir. Chinar actually is a brainchild of Justice sir. And as all of us know, Katju sir has been a great outspoken social observer and of course, one of the eminent jurists this country has ever seen. Without wasting any time, let's dedicate ourselves to hear from the president of Chinar Foundation about how this community came into existence and what exactly we mean with its Kashmiriyat ideology. Justice sir, please. Katju sir, you're not visible, sir. I think Katju sir has lost connection or something. So Vivek sir, let's just start with you. Please tell how we came to Chinar.
It's a very interesting episode. Katju Saab is a very active person, always thinking good and thinking ahead. One day I receive a call from him in the morning. This is just when the lockdown had begun. And he says, Vivek, I'm getting a lot of mails from fellow Kashmiris who are stuck. In those days, it was not so much outside India, it was more in India. And he said, who are stuck in different parts of India. What can we do? I said, sir, we can all start helping them. She says, how do we help? I said, you and I start working towards it. And that's how the first seed, and then Aasif joined us, of course. Now, Aasif had a lot of data because he was deeply involved in this thing. And then Irfan, you came into picture. And gradually everybody joined. Now, what we all did together was that we started talking to the authorities to help these Kashmiris who were held up in different parts of India to reach Kashmir, to reach their home. It started with Bhopal and Indore, where we had nearly 600 students completely held up. and they were in a very depressive mood, very emotional. So we arranged, from that hotspot, we arranged buses which took them to Srinagar. Then the same thing we tried in Delhi, where Mr. Sanjay Singh, a fellow MP, played a very active role in helping us. And of course, Mr. Kejriwal also was helpful. And we were able to, with their help, make a lot of arrangements to send people to Kashmir. Then we went to Maharashtra, we went to Rajasthan. Rajasthan was a chance. Gehlot Sahab had some issues to discuss with me at 12 o'clock at night. He called me. And by this time, Irfan and Aasif had told me that in Rajasthan, nothing is happening because there is no nodal officer. So I told Gehlot Sahab that evening after we had finished our conversation, I said, Gehlot Sahab, people of Kashmir are suffering in your state. They can't even go back. He says, नहीं, ये संभव नहीं है. मैं तो सबकी मदद कर रहा हूँ. ऐसे नहीं, कश्मीर की मदद नहीं आप कर रहे हैं क्योंकि कश्मीर का नोडल ऑफिसर ही नहीं वहाँ पर. He says, please ask somebody to get in touch with my office. And next morning I told Aasif. He got in touch, and by evening, Gehlot ji had ensured buses and evacuation and repatriation of all the Kashmiris who wanted to leave Rajasthan. So that's how we all started working together. And it was this joint mechanism which was helping. Like Katju Sahab would get messages from all over the world now. I would push those messages to Jai Shankar Sahab and Hardeep Puri ji. And I would keep inundating them with my mails. I said, people are depressed, they're emotional. If somebody commits suicide, what are you going to do? So that's how the government started also moving. Gradually, they had those single flights and people, that was too less. Then we said, you bring more flights. So they increased the flights. Then we said, please bring charter because the number is too high. So as I said, the whole object was that if we help so many people through this foundation, somewhere we're going to create a bonhomie with all these people who will go back and tell their people in Kashmir that how people like Katju Sahab and all of you together were helping them. And somewhere Kashmiriyat is going to get enhanced by this effort. It is this effort of love, help, assistance, which we thought is the best pathway to get connected. And while we were discussing all this, I told Katju Sahab, I said, sir, once we have achieved this little goal of helping people, maybe someday we can think of a convention in Delhi where we'll invite some of these guys also, people who we've helped and others to join us. And we'll have a convention to take forward the concept of Kashmiriyat. That is how it began, and that is what is in what we thought about. Rest, I'll leave it to, and we'd like to hear all of you.
Yes, sir. Katju, sir, you can begin.
So may I begin?
Yes, sir.
I want to firstly tell you something about the history of the creation of Chinar Foundation. See, first we created it in the year 2014. The initial aim was to unite all Kashmiris, whether Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs, because there were a lot of differences between Kashmiris. So much so, it may sound amusing to you, there were sharp differences between Kashmiri-speaking Kashmiri Pandits and non-Kashmiri speaking Kashmiri Pandits. They were not able to get together in a single organization. They had such differences between themselves. What to say of a Kashmiri Muslim? Even among Kashmiri Pandits, there are two types, the Kashmiri speaking and non-Kashmiri speaking. They were unable to get along together. So the first effort to form Chinar Foundation in 2014 failed. Then the second attempt I started when I was in California after 2000, in September 2019 onwards. And I requested Fouziya to take the initiative. She tried a lot, but there were such sharp differences between Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiri Muslims. They were not even willing to sit together. When we tried to keep persuading them, that look, both Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiri Muslims have suffered in the past. But now you have to let bygones be bygones and move on and apply a healing touch. But that effort also failed. Then the third attempt to create Chinar Foundation succeeded, and you would be very interested to know it succeeded because of this corona pandemic. Because what happened was a large number of Kashmiris, they were all Muslims, were stranded in the towns of India and even abroad. So I first contacted Vivek Tankha, who's sitting here. He's a very senior lawyer of the Supreme Court, very respected senior lawyer and a member of parliament. He's also a Kashmiri Pandit like me. So I told Vivek that, Vivek, we should do something about the stranded Kashmiris who are stranded in the towns of India, thousands of Kashmiris and many even abroad, and they were running out of funds, they were running out of food and essentials, and they wanted to go back home to Kashmir, but because of the lockdown, there were restrictions. So I told Vivek that, Vivek, we should do something about it. And although those people stranded were almost all Muslims, but because we share the same blood and DNA, whether you are Pandits or Muslims or Sikhs, so I said that we should help them. And Vivek immediately agreed, and then we contacted Aasif Abdullah, who did a remarkable job. He is now the General Secretary of Chinar Foundation. Vivek is the Senior Vice President, and I am the President. And of course, there are Vice Presidents like Soni and Nagma and others. So, and Indervensh. So, we formed a team of people who helped the stranded Kashmiris to get back to Kashmir. And almost, I think, more than 95% of them were successfully evacuated. And before they were evacuated, we got them some money, some food, some essentials, because they had run out of all this. So we were of great help. And this showed to Kashmiri Muslims that Kashmiri Pandits are not against you. We are all one. And this helped creation of Chinar Foundation. Indervensh Chadha, by the way, who is also on the show, he is a Kashmiri Sikh. He speaks Kashmiri, unlike me or unlike Vivek, who don't speak Kashmiri. He grew up in Kashmir, and he helped evacuate all the stranded Kashmiris in Punjab, because he settled and does business in Jalandhar. He also did a remarkable job. And of course, Aasif Abdullah is the main person who created the team along with Vivek and others. And we helped the Kashmiris who were stranded. And in fact, we helped even Kashmiris stranded in Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan and UAE and Bangladesh. We contacted the ambassadors and helped them to be evacuated to Kashmir. So this created a feeling among all Kashmiris that we are one and we should unite. Now, our common, what is common among all Kashmiris is what we call as Kashmiriyat, the philosophy of Kashmir, which is the Kashmiri Rishi culture or Sufi culture. If you go online and you just type Kashmiri Rishi culture, you will get several articles about it, which shows that in Kashmir there was this Rishi or Sufi culture of brotherhood and tolerance and compassion and mutual help. This is what binds all Kashmiris. And in fact, it also binds non-Kashmiris also. That is why we later decided to include non-Kashmiris also in Chinar Foundation, because the message of Chinar Foundation is the message for the whole of India. That is of brotherhood, of tolerance, religious tolerance, of mutual help and compassion. The Kashmiriyat is not for Kashmiris alone. It is the philosophy for the whole country. And that is why we have people from South India like Jennifer, like Irfan. Irfan is a Keralite. Jennifer is from Andaman Islands. and we have people from all over, even those who are non-Kashmiris, as long as they subscribe to our philosophy of Kashmiriyat. So with these words, I welcome all of you. I was waiting for this day for a long time. You know, from 2014, my effort has been to unite Kashmiris and even non-Kashmiris who believe in the Kashmiri culture into one organization. And we have taken the symbol of the Chinar tree. You know, Chinar tree is unique in Kashmir. It's a huge tree, like the oak tree in England. And yes, this is the logo. It says that's the Chinar tree, and below that is mentioned uniting all. So that is our symbol. That is what Kashmiriyat stands for. The Chinar tree gives shade and soothing touch to all. Healing touch is required in Kashmir because people of Kashmir, whether Kashmiri Pandits, whether Kashmiri Muslims and others, have suffered a lot due to various reasons. I need not go into. A healing touch is very much necessary. And this Kashmiriyat philosophy is the philosophy which is required by the whole of the country, because as you know, in recent years, some dark clouds have come over India. Religious polarization has taken place, and you know who are the people responsible for it. I need not go into. We have to combat communalism because India is a country of great diversity. Unless we respect each other and keep united, India cannot hold together. So with these words, I welcome all of you again in Chinar Foundation. And even we have even a half German lady, that is Soni, who is with us. And she's half Kashmiri, but half German. So we have even a non-Kashmiris. We welcome all of you and thank you for coming here.
Yes, sir. Justice, sir, thank you. Thank you for that brief. To add a note out of our discussion, today, June the 23rd, is observed as International Widows Day by the United Nations to address the poverty and injustice faced by millions of widows and their dependents in many countries. Chinar Foundation take a moment to tribute the sufferings of thousands of widows across Kashmir and rest of the world. Back to our session, it's again my pleasure to welcome once again Advocate Vivek Tankha sir to deliver his wise words. As all of you know, he's a member of parliament and a senior advocate of Supreme Court. He has been the backbone of our entire stranded Kashmiris evacuation and helping campaign, in which we almost spread our helping hands to more than 10,000 stranded Kashmiri people across India. We are proud to have you as a Vice President, Sir Vivek sir. Please, the mic is yours. Sir, we can't hear you. Please unmute, sir. Vivek sir, we can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. I said I have already spoken about why this, how we came together, and I don't have to repeat that. Katju Sahab knows that. He's already also spoken about it. But let me tell you some more things about ourselves. Like Katju Sahab, we are also from Allahabad, originally Allahabad, Lucknow, and we had this whole connect of the Pandits who always were very nostalgic about Kashmir. So my father-in-law, who was also a Kashmiri related to Katju Sahab, Colonel Ajay Mushran, who was the finance minister for 10 years with Digvijay Singh. Between him and his father, they were ministers in Madhya Pradesh for 30, 40 years, I don't know how many years. So he was the first person in India to take the initiative as finance minister, this is in 1993, to bring reservation for Kashmiris in the state. In Madhya Pradesh with Maharashtra were the two foremost states when all when the Holocaust happened in Kashmir and people had to leave, and it's not only the Pandits but also a lot of Muslims left Kashmir at that time. I still remember so many students coming to Madhya Pradesh, different universities of Madhya Pradesh, medical colleges, engineering colleges, and we, like good Pandits, were also my father and my father-in-law. My father was a judge of the High Court. He passed away very early in life in 78. They were both presidents of the Association of Kashmiris in their respective towns, Jabalpur, Bhopal. So there has been a very intimate and a nice connect with Kashmiriyat for us. We used to always look forward for those visits as children with our parents to Kashmir. So I've said this in your that talk we had, Irfan, the other day. So as I said, I was looking forward for this initiative, which Katju Saab very rightly took that call, because we are all wanting the Kashmiris to unite, and unite for good reasons. I don't want to see bloodshed. I don't want to see this unhappiness which is in the valley. In my parliament speech on Kashmir, there was a full debate in parliament once on Kashmir. And since I am the only Kashmiri Pandit in Rajya Sabha in that sense, so they gave me 10 minutes to speak also. I was just a new person into Rajya Sabha at that time. I'm talking of 2016. And I still remember saying that in my speech, that the soul of Kashmir, while it bleeds, it also cries. And I don't think that Kashmir is going to be happy without the Pandits. Pandits have to go back to Kashmir. We all have to live again like we used to live before. I mean, the Kashmiriyat or the Rishi culture, whatever culture you might say. And this also has to come through love. It can't, you can't bring it through force. So this is the initiative which Katju Saab, I am very, very grateful to you for this immensely humane initiative. It's only this initiative which can bring a real healing touch amongst the Kashmiri Brotherhood. Thank you.
Oh, that was a pretty good speech. Thanks, Vivek, sir. Rolling out with our session forward, one thing I want to say, all of you, we have two great assets, or let's say blessings. It's the presence of two celebrities associated with the Bollywood film industry, Soni ma'am and Nagma ji. Personally, and as a member of Chinar Executive Council, I thank both of you for your selfless and socially dedicated, virtuous mind for joining on board with Chinar as its powerful vice presidents. It's a matter of privilege to see both of you investing time and effort in this community, regardless of any personal or professional gains. As you know, Soni ma'am is the latest but our exclusive member. So I think she's preferring to hear more about Chinar, and if time permits, she'll talk later. Coming to you, Nagma ma'am, none of us need an introduction about Nagma ji. She's a splendid actress who got chance to act in almost 9 languages, helping to understand all those cultures. She's also an active politician, the General Secretary to the All India Mahila Congress, and in charge of Jammu and Kashmir and Puducherry. Me on my research platform, Kashmir Journal, had done an exclusive talk session with her about how media and arts can help in peace building. So let's hear from her. Nagma ji, please.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Good morning to everyone, and good evening in the US. And it's great to be here on this platform. And I honestly feel that I can add value to this. And I thank Justice Katju Saab, whom I have been associated since a very long time, and I do know him. And honestly, Kashmir, since it's a conflicting area, it's always, one has to be very careful when one has to speak about Kashmir. And to begin with, first, since Irfan told us that today is the International Widows Day, I'd like to, dedicate this hour and time to all the widows. And I'd like to say that, it's been 2 years since I've been in charge of Kashmir, and earlier I was in charge of other states Now I'm in charge of Kashmir and Pondicherry. But since I was born to, a Hindu father and a Muslim mother and born on Christmas, I'm very intrigued in humanity. And I think humanity is above all. And when I was given charge of Kashmir, we first had the Katwa, then we had the full Mahama. Then before that, I just went before this government fell to Kashmir. Then the obligation of 370. And so on and so forth, one after the other, something or the other started happening over there. But yes, observing whatever I have observed, it's great to be with Chinar. It's very good to understand. But at the same time, I see that a lot of people have been feeling very sad and bad about what happened, though we all do feel. But somehow, eye for an eye is never the answer. We see the atmosphere is very vitiated today. And in this vitiated atmosphere, and what I have observed about Kashmir, I think there are a few things that peace. Peace is very important anywhere in anybody's normal life. You need to have peace. In the socio-economic development of Kashmir also, it's very important to first have peace and maintain that peace. But an eye for an eye, like I said earlier, also is never an answer. Apart from that, since I'm in charge of Kashmir and mainly for the women's wing, I would like to say that, women and children are the most affected. The youth is very affected. Look at what is happening with the youth over there. And women and children, because of this unrest, because of whatever is happening over there. So I think it's very important, even from childhood, like we see, it's very important on how the psyche of a mind since childhood it plays, and how people need to be more healthier and people need to think in a better perspective. Therefore, peace needs to prevail in Kashmir. So irrespective of the fact that this organization is definitely for Kashmiri Pandits and Muslims to get together, which we all will, try our best through. But I think Irfan has, introduced a very, very good medium through he's got this 3-prong medium to combat that and to get peace. And I think one is technology for peace. The other one is through media and culture. I think media and culture is a very important medium, and I think social media is something that where we can really voice our opinions, whether we are able to go there or not. But irrespective of the fact, I'm very much for Kashmiri Pandits to get back to Kashmir. But at the same time, I think what is going on in the society today is way beyond that. We see Muslims are being lynched. We see what is happening with the people. We see what is happening on our borders. So I think this Chinar Foundation, of course, I being in charge of Kashmir also have done my bit of bringing a lot of students from different various places. But irrespective of that, I mean, from UP, from Maharashtra, from a lot of places where even I have played a role. UP, we had a lot of AMU students come back by the train from UP, and a lot of other places. But that goes to say my mother has studied at the Aligarh Muslim University. But beyond all that, I think it's on the humanitarian crisis that, we have such good legal minds on board. We have Justice Katju Saab, we have Vivek Tankha ji, we have so many of, all of us, the youth and the senior most minds at play. And I think Chinar Foundation can do much more beyond. So I do feel very grateful at this time to be associated with the Chinar Foundation and with all of you all. But I do think that today, Kashmir on the whole needs a lot of, balming effect to be put not only on the Kashmiri Pandits, but also on each and every Kashmiri, on each and every Indian, I would say. So I think that thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Justice Saab, to be a part of this. But I really think that there are many directions that we need to work on, and Kashmiriyat is what is, I think, more of humanity and more of people to keep together, to be at peace. So we're all here to work at that together. So thank you.
May I add something here with your permission?
Sure, sir. Sure. Yes, sir.
Nagma's mother is Muslim, her father was Hindu, and Nagma was born on 25th December, Christmas Day. So she is a combination of three religions, Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity. So she's a true symbol of secularism of our country. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So moving ahead, I think our Vice President Indervensh Chadha sir will speak a bit about Chinar.
Yeah, good morning to all the members of India who is dedicated India, and good evening to the members of US. I'd like to first congratulate on the first program of Chinar Foundation. In Kashmiri, I'll say Mubarak. Yes, to God, as to Godnik Ijlas, Chinar Foundation Godnik Ijlas, which you saw in Mubarak Bad Diwan. This means I welcome all. So, Tasawar sir can correct me if I am wrong in Kashmiri. But anyways, going further.
No. We still got to work on it in the 1G. Not a good attempt.
I'll take a few lessons from you in Kashmir, because it's been a long time I've left Kashmir. Although when I was in Kashmir, my atmosphere was like my friends and all were Kashmiri. So we used to talk in Kashmiri, but it's now like long time back. So they can be, now I'm more into Punjabi. My accent is more converted into Punjabi now. Anyways, regarding Kashmir, even in the last meeting, I emphasized upon the development of local Kashmiris, because during this the last 3 months, what I learned or experienced is it was really I really felt bad when a sudden the crisis erupted and we had to work on shifting students and laborers to their local hometown in Kashmir. During this period, they faced a lot of problem in Samba, because even the state administration was not prepared for all this, and lots of people were not being able to get food for 48 hours. Even one of there are a few of students who complained on. But I don't regret or complain to the state administration, but I felt why the people of Kashmir are. Why don't we have opportunity in Kashmir? Why they migrate to other places for all this? This is my question, and I really want to work on this thing. Even in the last Ibadat Khana session, I mentioned it, that I want students to have, they should have universities in Kashmir. For healthcare, we should have multi-specialty hospitals in Kashmir. And for business, and we should have industries in Kashmir. I will certainly work, and I will also request Katju sir to just study on this, and how can we provide all this thing in Kashmir. This is my objective, to work under the said platform. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Indervensh sir. So we have our Tasawar sir here. Earlier, all of us, I think most of us have been in that Ibadat Khana session, which was hosted very well.
I would like to add here,
yes, sir,
that Indervensh did a fantastic job in evacuating the stranded Kashmiris in Punjab.
Yes.
You see, he lives in Punjab, although he was born and brought up in Kashmir, but he does business in Jalandhar. So I appointed him in charge of the evacuation of Kashmiri stranded in Punjab. There were hundreds and hundreds of them. And he evacuated almost all of them. He set up a team and did a fantastic job. So he did, hats off to Indervensh.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
One thing I want to just mention here, that the figure of the people who were evacuated throughout India was 1.5 lakhs. That was being declared by the JK state. So it covers around about 15 to 20% of the population. So we should think why these people come to why they have to leave Kashmir for all this. We have to work for this. Thank you.
All right, so moving ahead, Tasawar sir is here. We had our get together in that Ibadat Khana hosting earlier also. So Tasawar sir, please talk. He's also appointed as the Vice President of Chinar by Justice. He's the chairman of Ibadat Khana movement. So Tasawar sir, please have your voice words for us.
Oh, thank you, Irfan. Appreciate. Thanks, Justice Saab, Vivek ji, Nagma ji, Soni ji. So privileged to speak here. I'd like to
We can't see you.
echo.
We can't see
Oh,
you.
I'm walking. Actually, I'm on my walk, on my 15-kilometer walk in the evening. It's pretty dark. I can just turn it on. I know that they can see me.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't mind seeing you walking.
Okay. You won't see anything but the dark shadows. So I like to echo Indervensh's sentiments that Kashmir should be healed, businesses should be brought back. But I mean, I think one of the things we need to understand, like what Justice Katju mentioned earlier, that when we try to revive Chinar Foundation here, and I try to bring in the Kashmiri Pandits, there is a lot of hostility between Kashmiri
The
Muslims
light
and
is
Kashmiri
very
Pandits,
dim,
especially. Yeah, I'm
very
walking,
dark.
sir.
Why are
Yeah.
you walking, but?
I just go for my evening walks after 8 for 3 hours.
It's very dark.
Yes, sir, we
sorry
can
about
hear
that.
you pretty well. Please talk. Yeah.
So the thing is about Kashmir, one thing we have to understand, although Kashmiri Pandits have suffered, I don't think anybody will appreciate the contribution, like Vivekji was saying. The Kashmir is incomplete without Kashmiri Pandits. And the contribution Kashmiri Pandits have made to the Kashmiri literature is amazing and immense. And they continue doing an amazing job even today, even though they are outside Kashmir. I have personally helped few Kashmiri Pandits to settle in Kashmir 5-6 years back. I mean, Kashmiri Pandits were never ever prevented, but Kashmiri people always have believed in Kashmir. I don't think I know a lot of Kashmiri folks. They never had anything against Kashmiri Pandits. They do want them to come back, but for that, peace must prevail first, right? We need to have peace in Kashmir, and we cannot force peace. It has to come within. Now, Kashmiri Pandits have suffered like 20 years back, like what Justice Katju said, 25 years back. They have now settled back in, different parts of India. But however, we must also appreciate and accept the Kashmiris, whether they're Muslims,
Tasawwur, we
Hindus,
can't see
Sikhs.
you properly.
Sorry, sir,
It's
I
very
will go
dark.
under light.
Tasawwur, why don't you turn the camera on your face and stop for 5 minutes?
It is on my
And
face.
so we can see you talking and you're not moving.
Okay, let me go under.
Yeah. And just sit
street light.
somewhere or stand somewhere.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
better
that's
now.
better.
Now it's better.
Better now.
Thank you.
It's better
Yeah,
now.
sorry about that.
We can see you.
So I think the fact that Kashmiris have really suffered, right, and still suffer, right? Suffering is both in mind and body, right? And Kashmiri Pandits have suffered 20 years back in mind and body, right? They still long to go back to the valley. But we also must understand and accept Kashmiri Muslims and Sikhs and even lot of Pandit families who still in Kashmir still suffer, right? There's still a lot of suffering, both in mind and body every day. And till we do not bring peace, till we do not engage Kashmiris politically, the peace will never prevail. Having forced peace under gun is just not a solution. We just simply cannot expect the Kashmiri Pandits will go back, because even if they do go back, what are they going to do there? My own nieces and cousins have not been able to go to school for the last 12 months. It's so sad. Like 10 million kids have not been able to go to school for the last 10 months and for years. There's no internet, people are being detained. There's a lot of unfortunate things that are happening in Kashmir we must address. And it's a great initiative you guys have started. Justice Katju has started. I know he's been really keen in getting this started. And I hope this will bring results, but we must act and try to bring in that peace back in Kashmir. I think I would like to, I can talk all night, but again, thank you so much. Very humble by giving this opportunity. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to give it back to Irfan.
Yes.
Please take it from here.
Thank you for that beautiful talk, sir. So, Justice sir, do you have something to add to Tasawwur sir? Katju sir,
Yes?
do you have something to add to what Tasawar sir had just said or something?
No, I'm not able to hear you. There's something wrong in my iPad. I'm not
All
able
right,
to
all
hear
right,
you.
nothing, sir. So, with no lagging, let's carry out our session. Now, I invite Aasif Abdullah, the General Secretary of Chinar. It is no doubt that without his tremendous and sleepless efforts in coordinating the stranded Kashmiris to reach back home, this collective organization wouldn't have been this rooted amongst a wide number of Kashmiris. We have been able to form Global Students Union of Jammu Kashmir, and our right time interventions had made all of those thousands of people who we helped to become an admirer or even undeclared volunteers of Chinar Foundation. So Aasif, talk
One
about
can first rest of the guests will speak, then I will speak at the end.
yes.
At the end of the meeting, I will speak.
I think all our senior members have already spoke, so you can speak. Yes.
May I first introduce Aasif Abdullah to all the viewers?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Aasif
What about-
Abdullah is the General Secretary of Chinar Foundation, and he did a fantastic job in helping the stranded Kashmiris who were stranded in numerous towns of India in going back to Kashmir. He set up a team along, of course, with under the guidance of Vivek Tankha and myself, and he formed a core team, and they evacuated more than 95% Kashmiris, hundreds and hundreds of Kashmiris stranded all over India, in Bangalore, Chennai, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, of course, Indervensh helped. He set up a team who supplied money, food, essentials to these stranded Kashmiris who were running out of essentials. And then he organized the evacuation to Kashmir. So hats off to Aasif Abdullah. He has done a fantastic job. Thank you.
Hi everybody, good morning. Adab, Salam, Assalamu alaikum. So first of all, greetings from the Kashmir. Right now I'm in a Kashmir and I'm using right now, I think it is 1G speed despite having a Geo fiber. I was not able to connect, so sorry for being late. Am I audible to you?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Am I?
yes.
Your Excellency Justice Katju Saab, Your Excellency Vice President of Chinar Foundation Vivek Tankha ji, Her Excellency Nagma Morarji, Vice President of Chinar Foundation, Indervensh ji, Soni Razdan, Dr. Salfiyah, and all others who are present in the meeting. It's my privilege and honor to welcome you all to the first virtual meeting of executive meeting of Chinar Foundation. So let me tell you a little bit about this Chinar Foundation, how I got connected with the Chinar Foundation. I was in India for my visa. As my visa got expired, that I'm in a research associate with the Geneva School of Diplomacy and IR. So I was here in India, and what happened? These Northeast riots happened. Northeast Delhi, that program happened in Northeast. So I got stuck. My meeting with embassy got delayed again and again. Then all of a sudden, what happened? This COVID-19 happened. So I got stuck in Delhi myself. Then what I was doing is we were supporting these Northeast riot victims with food, as we had started a program of rehabilitating 4,500 families there in Northeast. So once this COVID and a sudden lockdown was announced by the government, I was in Delhi. So I was thinking, so how to spend my days and what to do now in this Northeast, as we were not allowed to move to Northeast, not allowed to move out of my flat, not allowed to move anywhere. So we started a group of students as well as the activists, as we are working since last 10 years, as we help the students of Kashmir with books and coachings. With one of an IPS officer from Odisha, you might be knowing, Hassan Dutt, who is known as a comedy carrier and a love of Kashmir and Kashmiris. So we were working for that books only. Then we started a WhatsApp group Basant sir, me, Shalinder Mishra, and many others. And all of a sudden, I saw a Facebook post of sir that they want to help the stranded Kashmiris all over the India. So I thought to expand this group to reach more and more people, we must. And then I got connected with Irfan sir. I got connected with Katju sir, then Vivek sir, and Vivek sir turned out to be the man of the match of Kashmiri evacuation. As of now, I think 97% of the stranded Kashmiris throughout world, not throughout India, but throughout world, who wish to come back, they are back to home. And Vivek sir did a tremendous job. Indervensh ji, before us, he started Punjab and Himachal. Then I asked sir, what is this Chinar Foundation? So he told me that he tried earlier twice to start it. So they want to revive the Kashmiri Sufi culture. So the history of Kashmiri Sufi culture goes back to 1300 AD. I think in the times of Ramachandra, who was later on his name, the Srinagar was named. Am I right, sir? Ranchipura. Srinagar was known as Ranchipura. Then Shah Hamdan, then Shahmiri, then Lal Ded, Kota Rani. And unfortunate with the Kashmiris, that this Kashmir has never ever been ruled by a local Kashmiri, except the Yusuf Shahi Chak. Since decades, not now, after 1947, but before 1947, since 13th century till 21st century, the only single Kashmiri who ruled the Kashmir was Shahi Chak. Am I right, sir? Katju sir, am I right?
Yes, Aasif, yes.
We had so many cultural invasions by different rulers, but they failed. They failed to invade the culture of Kashmir because of this Sufi ethos, the ethnic Kashmir, which we are called, which means unity for all. The Hindus, Muslim, even the minorities. We had minorities like Sikhs and other these boats in Kashmir earlier in 1947. Now, what happened to this in 1989? The pseudo political movement, which is known as in IR and diplomacy, which is a pseudo political movement, which later turned out to be violent, and it hurted the ultimate Kashmir Sufi culture, where we lost our Kashmiri Pandits. They left the Kashmir, or they were what is it called? They were exiled from Kashmir. But still that Kashmir Sufi culture, which unites us, is but hurted badly. So to revive this Kashmir culture, Katju sir had taken a call. So I am privileged to work for this. Although it is so difficult job in 21st century to start a cultural movement and to revive a culture, but we must not lose the hope, and I think it is the right time for me to contribute a bit to this cultural movement of Justice Katju sir. So thank you.
Thank you, Aasif. Thank you. So,
I'd like to,
yes, sir. Yes.
Irfan,
yes.
sorry, if you don't
Yes.
mind me
Yes,
adding
that's
to
all right,
it.
sir. Definitely.
So I echo what Aasif is saying. One thing, the Kashmiri Sufi culture, I mean, it's really like typical Sufism, which you find throughout the Middle East, is nowhere close to what it is in Kashmir. Kashmir Sufism is a syncretic evolution of Shaivism and Sufism, right? If you go deep into
We can't
Kashmiri
see you.
mysticism, yes, sorry, sir, I don't have a video, but you can hear me, right? So what I was trying to say is, it started the Kashmiri, philosophy of love and humanity started, back in, early 8th and 9th and 10th century when Vasugupta, who wrote the Shiva Sutras, right? Shaivism is the core. Shaivism is Sufism, right? It's the syncretic evolution of the current, philosophy, which we call Kashmirian, because it never taught hatred against humanity. That's why when Muslims were being massacred and Hindus were being massacred in around 1947, not a single person, whether Hindu or Kashmiri, was hurt in Kashmir. So, and that philosophy still lives, although I see a lot of growth in extremism, both on the Indian subcontinent around Pakistan, and Kashmiri Muslims are getting on the extreme side, and so are getting Indian Hindus are getting on this extreme side, which is very sad. But the core Kashmiri philosophy, which is really an evolution from times of Vasugupta to Abhinav Gupta, right? Who is really the master of Shaivism and Advaita philosophy, where this Kashmiri current, if you go into deep mystical circles of Kashmir, and you'll find it's still there. It's still there. Although this religious fanatics are taken over, I hope we can work on it and preserve the core Kashmiri culture.
Yes, thank you so much, Tasawar sir, for adding that. So to move on, we have joint secretaries here. We have Gazala ma'am, we have Salfiyah, Dr. Salfiyah.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure, Aasif.
Yeah. The Kashmir Sufism, there had been so many massacres in 13 AD, 14 AD in Kashmir that were religious massacres, right? Where Kashmiri Hindus or Buddhists were massacred, but that had never hurted the culture of Kashmir. What had hurted is 1989.
All right.
Right. So we are talking about the revival because somewhere it had been hurted by someone. So it is not, even though 1989 was not a religious massacre, but it was a rise of a fundamental radical Islam as well.
Okay. So to move on, I would like to ask Dr. Salfiyah to speak about how she has been associating with Chinar and helping stranded Kashmiris and stranded Indians to reach from Kyrgyzstan to India. So, Salfiyah ma'am.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to congratulate and greet everyone for this very first official meeting online today. I'm from Kyrgyzstan. I've been working for the evacuation of around thousands of Kashmiri people, but I contacted so many people. I posted my videos on Twitter. I contacted so many local news channels in Kashmir, but nothing happened. Nobody was able to reach out and help us. And somehow I got contacted with Aasif sir. He told me about Katju sir, and that's how the chain started. I was then contacted by some host who is working in a UK-based news channel. He arranged online meeting with Katju sir, and that's how the debate started. And I told them everything that we are facing over here. And then Katju sir helped me, and I got contacted with Vivek sir, Vivek Tankha sir, Prabhu sir, and they helped us. Now they have arranged two separate flights according to their schedule in the Vande Bharat mission for Kashmiris, which is on 26th. I'm included in that, and the other flight is on 8th July.
Right. All right. So we have Gazala ma'am from here. So I would like to ask Gazala ma'am to speak on.
Good morning, everyone in India, and good evening to the people who are in USA. So I would like to mention that this idea of Kashmiriyat has lost its essence to some extent, but because it was the factor that Kashmiri Pandits who were the basic, pillar of the Kashmiriyat are no longer in Kashmir. So that does not mean that we have forgotten the concept of Kashmiriyat. It's still within us, whether we live in Kashmir or we live away from Kashmir. I remember the incident last year after this post abrogation of Article 370. My brother had left from Jammu. So he was traveling and I was in contact with him till he reached Banihal. But after the crossing Banihal, I was not able to contact him. And after 3 days, I got a satellite call from my brother, and he told me that my younger brother who had left from Jammu had not reached home. So I was very worried. He was in 12th standard. I was crying like anything. I remember I was coming from my workplace to Dwarka. So I could not understand what should I do. So instantly I opened my Facebook and I messaged Katju sir. within seconds he replied me, and he tried in every way, he tried to help me. He was not knowing me, we were not in contact before. I did not know that sir is from Kashmir, he's a Kashmiri Pandit. But I believe that the concept, that the idea of Kashmiriyat was alive within him, within every person who is living outside Kashmir right now, be it a Kashmiri Muslim or be it a Kashmiri Pandit. So after 10 days of our continuous effort, Justice Sir calling every person in Kashmir, every authority in Kashmir, Justice Geeta Mittal ma'am, and after getting into contact with them, we were finally, able to contact my brother. And after 10 days of, huge efforts, he was able to reach home. So I would like that whether we live in Kashmir or we don't live in Kashmir, the concept of Kashmiriyat is always alive within us. So all the people, be it Nagma ma'am, be it other people who are the members of our this foundation, whether they are Kashmiris or whether they are non-Kashmiris and they love peace, their effort is very necessary in keeping this concept of Kashmiriyat alive. So I would also mention that from the starting of the meeting, I got almost disconnected 20 times because of the 2G connectivity, which is actually not 2G connectivity. So I'm not able to, contact. I get disconnected frequently. So I would like to say that people, whether they are in Kashmir or they are away from Kashmir, we both are suffering. Be it Kashmiri Muslims, they are suffering away from home, and Kashmiri Muslims, they are suffering at home. So we would like to bring peace. We would like to bring, reconcile the factors which are irreconcilable right now. Hello?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I believe this is duty of everyone who is peace loving, every Indian, every non-Indian, non-Kashmiri, non-Indian, that we should reconcile the features which we believe right now have become irreconcilable. So thank you so much for making me the member of this organization. I would love to work with you in future.
Thank you, Gazala ma'am.
Thank you.
So we have a special guest here. Actually, we have a very young author and who has co-authored an article with Justice Katju sir regarding a recent incident. So we have Aiman Hashmi. I would like Aiman Hashmi to talk, please. Please unmute.
Yeah, I unmuted. Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Irfan, for adding me. First of all, I think I should start by thanking Justice Katju, who has been more than helpful in bringing together this entire organization itself. And then afterwards, just adding me to it. I've had the honor of being added to this vibrant, wonderful community. I'm so glad to be here. As far as being a part of this community is concerned, I myself am not a Kashmiri Muslim. I'm not that fortunate enough. I wish I were though, because this seems to be such a wonderful place. I am, however, a final year law student at the Faculty of Law, Delhi University. And as a law student, I think it's been a couple of years of just watching this country have such a different set of legal formulations and such a tragic history of suppression that's definitely not what we're taught. That is not the reality that I was expecting we'd be seeing unfold in our community or at large in general. However, at the same time, when we're talking about the Kashmiri culture, Kashmiriyat and the Sufi culture, it's so heartening to see that a land which has been, if I may say so, just doubly suffered. Every time something happens in the nation, something much worse unfolds in the valley, and watch Kashmir just become such a political plank. Despite all of that, to persevere, and it's quite frankly just that spirit of perseverance that appeals to absolutely anybody. That spirit of perseverance is what I think is the healing touch that is required. That despite the differences, despite the suffering, and despite frankly being alienated, I think a number of people also mentioned how it was difficult to connect to this very call. And that speaks volumes about what is the reality right now. An entire state is muzzled. And despite that, to persevere and to become a part of a community and to ensure that at the end of the day, we send a very positive message, a very peaceful message. It's lovely to see that. And it's just admirable. And at the same time, I think my interaction with Kashmiris has been what might be the reality for a vast majority of North Indians and South Indians. That there is a picture that's portrayed of the region. We never really get to hear the voices of Kashmiris themselves. And that's the real tragedy there. To interact with the region as barely a myth is absolutely unfortunate. And today, when I get to hear voices from Kashmir, I think that's such a wonderful gift in an otherwise awful year. And to watch people talk about their own experiences rather than be represented through the media or how political the picture is, I think it's very important that people own their own voices, that their lived experiences are not hijacked by what may be vested interests. I'm glad that there is a foundation that might be able to allow people to gather together on a singular platform and to voice their concerns. And more than just voicing their concerns, to actually find constructive solutions for the same. Because at the end of the day, what falls short is that in this entire discourse around Kashmir, nobody really focuses on what can be done. It's largely always talking about how terrible the situation is, what went wrong and what shouldn't have happened, and never really what can we do for them. What should we be doing for that entire region? And I was reading about the killing of a Kashmiri Pandit Sarpanch in the region. And it was being reported again by outsiders, people who are complete aliens to that entire region and its beautiful, vibrant history. It was being reported as if it was the most political event that could have occurred. And there was such hatred in its coverage. But at the end of the day, when you would read the accounts of his family members, of the people who lived around him, his neighbors, it's actually a story of brotherhood and familiarity. Because his father repeatedly said that we were back in the region because our neighbors supported us. And because we didn't care whether we were Hindu or we were Muslim, at the end of the day, we were Kashmiri. And that is what mattered. And those are the stories that should be heard. Those are the perspectives that should matter. And that's what should be covered. And I'm hoping that today, this first meeting and many more meetings that happen, we're able to bring together voices and we're able to look at the lived experiences of people from the region and have constructive solutions. And I thank you all for joining us and for letting me have this time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aiman. Thank you. Justice sir, do you have anything to add to what Aiman just said? Sir, Katju sir.
You want me to speak?
Yes, sir. Please add on something.
Well, I just want to mention that on behalf of Chinar Foundation and with the approval of all of you, I've issued a statement demanding the Indian government to release all the political prisoners in Kashmir who were arrested at or around 5th August when Article 370 was abrogated. Some have been released, but many are still under detention, like Mehbooba, Mufti, everybody should be released. And we have also demanded that all restrictions in Kashmir should be removed, like 4G internet should be restored and freedom of media should be restored. And all other kind of restrictions in Kashmir should be removed. And we have also demanded that all atrocities on minorities in India, not only in Kashmir, all over India must be stopped, like this lynching of Muslims, as you know, Tabrez Ansari and Ikhlaq and Pehlu Khan and so many others, which has disgraced India all over the world.
Yes,
the
sir.
Recent events of how, and the arrest of Safura Zargar, that pregnant Kashmiri young woman, all she did was she protested against the Citizenship Amendment Act. Now, in a democracy, people have the right to raise their voice against laws which they feel are discriminatory or otherwise bad. But because she raised her voice against that, she has been arrested and trumped up charges have been imposed on her that she was trying to incite communal violence in Delhi, in parts of Delhi, communal incidents took place. So she has been accused of inciting those incidents, which is obviously fabricated charges. Unfortunately, our police today in India, that is why Justice Lodha called CBI cage parrots. They will do whatever the political masters tell them to do. So they will levy trumped up fabricated charges against persons like against Safura Zargar and Dr. Kafil Khan and Shajil Islam and so many others. So we have demanded all these atrocities and harassment and persecution of minorities must be stopped immediately. This has brought a very bad name to India. India is a country of great diversity. Equal respect must be given to people of all religions. But the recent development, anybody who raises a voice against this government is arrested. What kind of democracy is this? And to some extent, I blame the judiciary also. They should have immediately stopped him by taking suo motu cognizance of all these illegalities by the executive. After all, it has been repeatedly said in several decisions of the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court is the custodian of the liberties of the people and custodian of the Constitution. But it seems to have abdicated its role. So many illegalities are being committed, arbitrariness, excesses are being committed. For example, against all those who demonstrated against the Citizenship Amendment Act. Large number of them have been arrested and are still in jail on trumped up charges. See, here is where judiciary must step in. In fact, I would appeal to Chinar Foundation and to Mr. Vivek Tankha, who's sitting here, that a petition should be filed in the Supreme Court against all these things which have happened in Kashmir particularly, and all these political leaders must be released immediately and all these restrictions must be removed. This 4G internet is a vital, it's a necessity nowadays, it's not a luxury. People are facing great hardship without this 4G internet, and media freedom should be restored. And so a comprehensive petition on behalf of Chinar Foundation should be filed in Supreme Court that all these excesses, arbitrariness and illegalities in Kashmir should be lifted and freedom should be restored to the people of Kashmir. Thank you.
All right. So I think almost all of us have talked a bit, and Soni ma'am is here since she was our latest member. She was not having some details about how we came together or what we are working on. So she must have had a very details now. So please talk, ma'am. Soni ma'am.
Yes. Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Firstly, hello everybody. Good morning in India. Good evening in everywhere else. And I just want to say thank you so much. You've been all terribly kind. I mean, I feel like a sort of real novice because I have so little connection with Kashmir and with Kashmiris as well. And actually, this foundation is. For me, this is very personal because it's a way for me to be able to reconnect with, or rather connect with Kashmir, Kashmiris and everybody here. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, everybody who's done so much wonderful work. I mean, the work that you guys have been doing for the last 3 months and beyond that is really commendable. And hi to everyone in Kashmir who doesn't have a proper internet connection. I mean, like, it's so wonderful to be able to see you. Actually, the connection looks great, but I know you must be struggling so hard. So, it's lovely to connect with all of you. I just want to say thank you. I have to leave, but this is something which I'm very, 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 very honored to be a part of. And thank you so much for asking me. Thank you so much for, calling on me to be able to be a part of this. And I hope that I can help a lot in the future. What this young lady, Aiman, said, it really resonated with me when she said that we never really hear from Kashmiris in Kashmir. We're always hearing, these sort of the sort of inflated, hyper-ventilating news channels, and we don't really get to know what people there are experiencing on the ground. And I'm not just talking about the last year. Even before that, it's been, and I've always felt just one thing about Kashmir, and that is, there is nothing like love to solve a problem. And every single government that has been there since 1989 onwards has not used that, has not used love to solve problems. They've used every other trick in the book, because for the very simple reason is I actually don't think they're interested in solving the problem. And that is the blunt truth. So I think we need to understand this. It's a very, very difficult situation over there. We need to understand that we're up against a huge wall. It's difficult for just a few citizens to kind of make a difference, but if we don't start and we don't at least attempt, we're never going to forgive ourselves. And it's high time that we had this interaction with people from Kashmir, with the bad internet notwithstanding, so that we can begin to make forays into the state, and start connecting people to people contact, because the only way we are going to solve this, or rather I wouldn't even say solve, the only way we're going to make any difference at all is to connect with people. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys soon again. It's been a real honor.
Thank you for that vibrant talk. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
So, yes, thanks, man. So we have a young friend, Yawar, who is also a friend from Srinagar. I think Yawar is here. Yawar Khan, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So Yawar, if you have to speak, please speak a few words about Chinar and yourself also, please.
Good morning to all of you.
Yes.
Firstly, it's an honor and privilege for me to join for this virtual inauguration of Chinar Foundation. Finally, this much awaited day has arrived when the inauguration, when we have inaugurated this well-estimated NGO. As Kashmir, which is known as a Valley of Saints in the days of yore, will now be regenerated by this virtue of this NGO, Chinar Foundation. As I have been in touch with Irfan sir and Aasif sir, back days when I was in Pune, I was also stuck there, and Aasif sir came to help for me and for the stranded students back there in Pune. He helped and rescued all the students there who were stuck there and who were hopeless. As I am being told by Aasif sir that this NGO will work for the promotion of Kashmiri Sufism brotherhood for the welfare of all Kashmiri people, without the discrimination of any other religion or cause. Also, we have set up Irfan sir, after the abrogation of Article 370, Irfan sir has set up an organization named as Kashmir Journal, which will look towards the peace in Kashmir. He has divided this Kashmir Journal into several segments like peace and tourism, religion and peace building, and arts. How can arts and literature work for the resolution of Kashmir? How can people get out of it? And I think it's a very good initiative taken by Katju sir and all others, Irfan sir and Aasif sir.
Thank you, Yawar. Thank you for that wise words.
I wanted to say something for my Kashmiri brothers and sisters here.
Yes,
in Kashmiri. It's a very famous poem by a famous poet of Kashmir known as Maqbool Shakralwari. He says in Kashmiri, Subah phol bulbulo tur shore goga, Subah phol bulbulo tur shore goga, Gayas bedar Mutrem ach shahid. Gayas bedar Mutrem ach shahid. So what it means is, Subah phol means the morning has risen, and bulbul means nightingale. They're really singing loud, and it's about the time we witness the new morning. So it's really the time the Chinar Foundation brings that kind of a light. And for my Muslim friends, I wanted to quote Rumi, Chitadbir Musalmano, Kiman Khudra Namidonam, Sidasa Chitadbir Musalmano, Kiman Khudra Namidonam, Na Tharsa, Na Yehudam, Na Gabram, Na Musalmanum. What it means is I was born Muslim, but I really do not know what I am. I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Hindu, I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Jew. And finally, for my Hindu friends, I want to quote Gita. This is the last one. Sarvadharvam pratijaya mam ekam sharanam raja aham tva sarva papebhayo mokshe masucha. I mean, just abandon all religions, humanity, it's all within you. We're human beings, end of the day, we should practice humanity. So with that, I'll give it back to you, Irfan.
Thanks. Thank you for those quite wise verses. So.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, hi everyone again, and thank you, Irfan, for setting this meeting. And thank you all for sharing your thoughts and insights. And like you all said, we have a lot of work that needs to be done. I would just like to take a moment to thank Mr. Katju for basically setting up this Chinar initiative. And I feel it's a very relevant intervention. Like Mr. Katju mentioned, he asked me to arrange a meeting when he was here in California between Kashmiri Pandits and Muslims. And I tried, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do that because no one from either side was willing to get together. But it's totally understandable. You know, there's a lot of hostility between the two communities. Both the communities have lost a lot, and there's way too much. They carry a baggage of distrust. But as people with shared history, culture, ethos, it's important to bring that healing touch to plug those festering wounds that time has reflected on us. And we collectively need to reclaim that Kashmiriyat, which is a legacy of peace, harmony, and spiritual ethos that Kashmir has symbolized through ages. So that's what I want to just add. And thank you to all the founders and members of Chinar Foundation for this peace building work. And I'm saying the world is turning dystopian faster than one can imagine, but with initiatives like these, and all the commendable work that everybody is doing here, it seems like there is hope, and let's not give up. Humanity will prevail, inshallah. And so that's all I want to say.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I want to add here, Fouziya lives in San Jose, California. And when I was in California recently, she was working for Facebook. And she was so kind, she personally took me to the headquarters of Facebook in Menlo Park. And she showed me around the whole place. It's a fantastic place, the world headquarters of Facebook. Now I understand she joined Apple Computers or some other IT company.
Correct. Yes,
so I want to thank her for her kindness to me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
But Irfan is a real Kashmiri, because he
Thank you.
has the spirit of Kashmiriyat in him.
Thank you, sir.
As I
Thank
said,
you.
we in Chinar Foundation have not only Kashmiris, but a lot of non-Kashmiris also. And Irfan is a typical symbol of Kashmiriyat. That is the philosophy of secularism, of tolerance, of brotherhood. So 3 cheers to Irfan for having hosted this show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And